Good evening, everyone. So first, let me thanks and let me express my heartfelt gratitude to the Professor Amir, uh, the the School of Computer and Communication Sciences, and the VI Lab team for organizing this lovely event and for inviting me for here. I'm honored to be here at EPFL with a among such a thoughtful and curious audience. So okay, well, I'll start the talk. So thank you for introducing me. So first, I will start the talk with the term meditation. Because the term meditation is everyone know very well. But when it comes to Buddhist perspective, we defining the term meditation a different way. So simply, if I put into this way, meditation means developing skills. Or rather, developing, I love to put a term that is cultivating. So cultivating is more insightful because when you cultivate something, like for example when you grow something, I mean maybe a rice. So you have to create a field. Then we need to find a good seed, and we need to plant it. Even just plant it, it won't work. You have to work. You have to take care of the seed. So in that way, developing skill is kind of a cultivating. We have to do a lot of stuff to develop some skills within you. So meditation means developing skills. Simply, I can divide into two parts. One is developing concentration. So this is one way of developing your skills. So other ways developing skill is developing skills to see the truth of yourself. So this is very important skills if you can have it. But let me first explain about this part, that is developing concentration. So here most of the people are, students. So how hard to memorize thing, analyzing thing, when it comes to learning. So developing concentration help you in enhancing your intelligent capacity. This is the most important benefit you can have, developing intelligent capacity. It can be normally intellectual capacity or a brain capacity, whatever. So normally, like every human are born with some sort of intelligence. So right now you are working, you are learning, everything is done by that, by default capacity. So we don't know how to enhance it, but we just work, we just learn from your existing capacity. So what are the intelligence? If I listed the memory is kind of one capacity. So if you can enhance your memory, it will be a skill. Maybe analytical thinking or critical thinking, right? Maybe problem solving capacity. Maybe memory retrieving. Because even though you are having a memory, if you can't retrieve it, then if you can have this retrieving power, it's very important to, for your day-to-day life. So there are like, these are one of the main intelligence. Maybe I can put memory consolidation. So memory consolidation means like we do have a short-term memory. So if you can transform into a long-term memory, that is known as memory consolidation. So we can do all this stuff if you can enhance your concentration, because there's a formula. If you can increase your concentration, all these intelligence capacities can be improved. If you're having less capacity, less concentration, so you will have a lack of memory, lack of analytical power, right? So what we can do here is, if we can develop concentration up to some level, we can increase those capacity in a huge way. So why we need to enhance your intellectual capacity? Because normally, like sometimes you can't work with your existing capacity. Sometimes you are having a lot of work to do. So sometimes that capacity might be get overloaded, right? So in that sense, in that way, you are getting stress. We call stress. Stress means overloading your intelligence capacity. So if you can increase this capacity up to some level, then you can take a lot of work to, you can utilize capacity for more work. So in that way, we can, by increasing the concentration, you can manage your stress management. So this is also possible with this concentration meditations, stress management. Even with the stress, hope you might experience a lot of emotional instability, triggered. For example, like you might get anger. Because of the stress, you are getting anger. Maybe some kind of emotional distress, we call anxiety, depression, whatever. So if you can increase the concentration, you can manage, maybe you can say manage emotional maybe stability. So there are, maybe you can say body healing benefits, I must say. So by developing concentration, there are researchers you might know, you can find there are many researchers going on with the concentration. You can heal your body. For example, let's say immune functions, maybe blood circulations. Those are like well-known researchers. You might know it. So improving concentration helps you to heal your body even. So these are some of the main benefits. If you can have these techniques, you can easily witness these things. So in my practice, in Buddhist practice, there are many unique ways of doing this, to improve this concentration. So let me explain about, there are levels of concentration. So it is not the one thing. When you say concentration, you can increase the intensity of the concentration. It's not the one thing. So right now you are having a very light, very basic concentration. So this concentration is easily you can distract it with something else. You are putting so much efforts to hold your concentration right now. But what if you can develop your concentration in a well-established manner? There's a term known as jhana or dhyana. Hope some of them might heard of these terms, jhana or dhyana. So jhana means well-established concentration. That means if you can develop this concentration up to deep levels, you can have very controlled, effortless concentration, right? That is known as jhana concentration. So I'll explain that there are 8 levels of jhana which we can practice. If I draw a chart like this, There are 8 levels of concentration. So right now, your concentration we put as 0, it's negligible, right? So if you can improve from this base level, if you can improve your concentration up to these jhana levels, then you can gain a lot of, benefits. So out of this jhana, so there's a special level of concentration we call as fourth jhana. Fourth jhana. So this fourth jhana is very special because if you can reach this fourth jhana, you can gain maybe you can enhance your analytical power, you can enhance your intelligence capacity by many times, multiples, maybe 2x, maybe more than that. So this fourth jhana normally, in different cultures, they knew there's a special level. In Buddhist perspective, this fourth jhana we define as equanimity level. So in yogis, they define this as sahasra chakra. So in the different cultures, they define the same level in a different way. But only thing you have to understand, if you can have this jhana, fourth jhana, you can really feel it. You can really feel the energy of that thing. So later I will explain how we can get into this stuff. But for the moment, maybe if you can have some time to practice some. Yeah, maybe reaching the fourth jhana is a bit deep right now, but there should be a gradual process to get into the jhana. Even initially we can't go for fourth jhana, at least we have to start from first jhana, but even for the first jhana, we need some warm-ups. We need to start, we need to have some preparation. So let me explain some kind of a small exercise. These are not meditation, these are little exercise, 5-minute, 10-minute exercise. Maybe if you're interested, we can try right now to practice maybe 5-minute thing, right? So, because if you can get into these if you can achieve these small goals, later we can slowly, gradually we can develop these deep levels, right? Okay, then I'll explain. First I will explain the technique, then we can do it together, right? Okay. So, maybe, getting to the jhana, I'll explain before the technique, I will explain how we can, improve the concentration. There are two aspects of the concentration meditation. One is the object, and second one is the way you should contemplate. So if you take any concentration meditation, these two matters. One is the object, and other is how you contemplate it. Because there are many techniques you can find, right? In even Buddhism, there are over 40 techniques which we can get into the different levels. Even other than Buddhist practice, there are many. So if you take any concentration technique, only these two matters. One is the object, other is how you do it, how you contemplate it. So I'm only talking about Buddhist practices. So within 40 techniques, there's one very powerful technique where there are two. One is called Anapana meditation. Second one is Kasina meditation. So these two are very powerful because you can reach fourth jhana within one session, within one technique. But there are other techniques there are limitations. For example, let's say one can have only reach first jhana. There are meditation only reach first and second. So, but these two are very powerful where you can reach all four. So, maybe I will introduce this one, but before the Anapana, so Anapana means Ana means inhalation, Pana means exhalation. So, this is a breath-based meditation. The object would be the breath. So, here is the visualization one. So, I will not explain this one because it's a bit difficult. So, the breath-based meditations are very easy to do because breath have only two aspects, inhalation and exhalation. So, later I will explain how to get into this Anapana, but I will explain some warm-up exercises before you get into the Anapana. So warm-up exercises would be breath counting techniques. So these breath counting techniques are very helpful. Very, you can easily gain some confidence on concentration. So I'll explain one meditation that is counting 100 to 0. So how to do this thing? First, you need to have a proper posture. Sitting position is very important to have this concentration meditation. Your upper body should be free and straight. That's the main point here. Upper body should be free and straight. Of course, you can lean into your chair, but it's good if you can have a free upper body. And your arms can be any form, and your legs can be any form. It's fine. So initially, what you have to do here, with closed eyes, try to take a long in-breath and out-breath from the nostril. Normally, we call it deep breath. Take a deep breath from the nostril and, make it out. And take 2-3 breaths in that way. And with closed eyes, try to observe your breathing. Observe means don't interfere your natural breathing. It should be very natural. Everyone have a natural rhythm, so try to observe that rhythm. So when you observe your rhythm, you can feel, you might feel it maybe in your stomach. Maybe some can feel it maybe in your chest. Maybe some can feel it in your nose. It doesn't matter. Anyhow, you have to feel the breath. And try to observe it and try to feel your breath, and it should be so natural. Now what you have to do here, so you have to see the board because I will show you the technique. Later we will do it. So when you feel the in-breath, you have to count 100 for the in-breath. When you feel the out-breath, you have to count out-breath as 99. Again, when you feel the in-breath, you have to count it as 98. Then, following is 97, 96, 95. The same way, you have to count down from 100 to 0. Right? That's the technique. It's very simple 5-minute meditation. So you have to start from 100, and you have to count. For the in-breath, if you put 100, out-breath should be 99. 97, 98, 97. So in that way, try to count down. So if you distract us, so the challenge here is when you are counting down, it will distract your counting. That means, you fail. You have to start from the beginning, right? You have to start from the beginning. So your goal is to anyhow count down from 100 to 0. If you can count down, that means you are having some sort of a concentration. You can have that confidence, right? Okay, then we can try it right now, right? Okay, then close your eyes and take a long, deep breath from the nostril. And release it from the nostril slowly. And again, do another deep breath from the nostril. Again, exhale out from the nostril. Okay, do it another one. Deep breath. Exhale out slowly. Okay, now observe yourself. Observe your breathing. Can be your stomach, can be your chest, can be your near nose. Try to observe. If you can feel the breathing, you can start counting from 100 to 0. Okay, slowly open your eyes. Slowly open your eyes. So how's the practice? Is anyone get through all the 100 to 0? Nice.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand. You said, like, if you get distracted or lose track, you gotta start over.
Yes.
But there must be some kind of threshold, no? Because, for example, when I hear the sound of the clock and it takes just momentarily my attention away from the breath, surely that is not already a reason for me to start from zero, is it?
Yeah, see, like, that's going to be a distraction, so that's why we need to have a peaceful environment. But still, like, if you can practice again and again, still these clocks are, other distractions still there, but you can still count it. If you can count at least, even though the mind is wander off in between numbers, it's good, right? Still it's good. But if you can, because of the distraction, if it's break, then of course, unfortunately, we have to start from the beginning. That's why we need to have a calm, peaceful environment without distraction. So later, if you practice more, then of course, easily you can handle other distractions, right? Okay, so I'll explain. There are few hindrances, obstacles when you are doing this meditation. Like he said, of course, outer distraction will be, an obstacle. But other than there are 5 hindrances. So obstacles. So it's good to know these things because sometimes, you are. So one is sensual desires. Sensual desires. While you are doing this meditation, sometimes, your mind says, go and have a cup of tea, maybe. Right? That's how your mind try to cheat you, right? Try to fool you. So you have to avoid these things. So with the practice, you can, control these things. Other thing is ill will desires. Ill will means the desire you dislike, like clock sound, maybe the physical pain, right? So these are, of course, with the practice only you can handle. The third one is maybe sleepiness, right? That struggles a lot. So to avoid sleepiness, of course, you have to have a proper posture. So if you lean into your, back, then you will quickly get sleep. That's why you need to have a free upper body. You have to free your upper body. Then you can handle your sleepiness. The fourth one is we call monkey mind. Because our mind is always, going here and there. That's normal. It's like, there's a analogy like, how monkey is eating fruits. He'll jump into the one tree, and while eating that fruit, he's seeing other fruit, and he's jumping into that thing. So the same way our mind is shifting in between thoughts. So to handle this thing, you have to practice this thing. So here you can, if you really analyze the technique, what we do is we are trying to maintain the focus to the breath through the counting. So if you can do this thing, then other thoughts will not interfere. That's what we do here. So same thing we do with the Anapana, but with a different technique. So the monkey mind is normal, of course. With the practice, you can handle this thing. So fifth one is the doubt. So doubt means like, while you are doing this thing, you might think, okay, is it working, or whether this technique is right? In that you might get a lot of doubts. So that's why I'm, explaining the technique, right? Explaining the methodology behind the technique. Then you know, like it should work, because what is happening here, you're always maintaining the focus through some kind of a technique. Then it should work, right? So this is the basic way, very initial way of, developing concentration. So try these things. It's a 5-minute meditation. So if you can try this, maybe at least, while you are traveling, even you can do this thing. Even if you can do it at least, every day, you can feel, it's working. So try to make a goal, like if you can success on these technique in first 3 attempts, then you can have you can have a confidence, okay, you can see it's stable in your mind. If you can do successfully first 3 attempts in a row, right? Try to do it. Okay, this is the basic form of developing concentration, 5-minute thing, right? Then later, maybe, so I had to talk about the other skill. Maybe if we get some time, I will maybe explain how to get into at least first jhana. Because jhanas are very well, deep concentration states. This is kind of a very, these counting techniques are you can only gain very light concentration. So when it comes to jhana, when you are doing this jhana, we need to fulfill three qualities, right? Later, maybe in the next break, I will explain how to get into jhana. So then you can understand, if you are practicing this jhana, you have to develop the stability. Stability means when you are getting into a jhana, at least you have to, you have to have skills to maintain that concentration up to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe 1 hour, right? If you can do it, that's the characteristic of the jhana. Even other is known as clarity. Clarity means, so while you are doing this meditation, I said there are levels of concentration, right? First level, second level, third level, like this. So each level gives you some sort of energy. It's similar to this. Suppose in a mountain, maybe water streams are flowing down. If it is flowing down, it takes whatever whatever the path. It's similar to scattered mind. There's no use of it. But if you build a dam and collect all the waters, if you can release it from one point, you can generate electricity, right? So same word, if you can further focus down, you can maybe cut the rocks even. The same way, if you can develop this jhana into different levels, you can gain different energies. You can use those energies for your day-to-day work. So clarity means, if you are getting into these jhanas, you can identify the nature of these jhanas. Each jhana have different qualities. First jhana gives you relaxation, second jhana gives you joy, third jhana gives you comfortness, fourth jhana gives you equanimity. So these feelings you can feel while you are getting into jhana. So clarity means, if you can identify these qualities, that's known as clarity, right? So in the practice, I have to teach you how to recognize those things, right? And even the third one is controlling. Controlling means jhanas are a bit addictive and sticky. Once you get into the jhana, sometimes it won't let you to come back. It's very deep, it's very addictive, very anchoring, sticky. So you have to have some controlling to bring it down, right? So that's very important. Because, for example, let's say you are going to a jungle for the first time. So with the curiosity, you might go into the jungle. But if you are not putting landmarks, so you can't come back safely. The same way, you have to have some kind of techniques to put some landmarks while you are going deep into jhanas. Then you know how to come back. So there are techniques how to come back, right? So these are very addictive, very sticky, so you have to have some control. So if you can develop these qualities, then you are also can have a jhana, you can experience. It's very, very powerful, right? So this is all about jhana simply. Shortly I explain. So later, if you're interested, in the Q&A maybe you can ask anything. Is that good? Or I can ask a question right now with regard to concentration.
Yeah, we have about 4 minutes.
Okay, then just ask about anything with regard to this conversation about this the concentration. So I explain, I will summarize the things. I explain about the two skills. So meditation, divided into two, developing concentration and developing skills to see the truth. So I explain about the concentration only for the moment. Any questions?
I guess the analogy for clarity is very clear, but for the controlling part, I was wondering what, I guess what makes it necessary to leave out the jhana like in a steady manner? What's the problem with suddenly stopping concentration? I was wondering about the quality of control.
Yeah, see, the controlling helps you because when you are getting into jhanas, it's similar to it's, your mind is getting into laser focus, right? So sometimes, if you get distracted or if you get, if you are lacking the controlling, sometimes, there are students, there are people even comes to visit me. They just try different techniques through the books, through the social media, and they just getting into, accidentally things can happen. There are people, they are doing it extreme way. So sometimes, if you getting into deep levels, you can't make it, normal, because jhana is a different state, not a kind of a normal mood. So you can't do anything there. It's just a one-pointedness, right? Like once you're there, you can't do anything. It's a very laser-focused thing. You are just so focused on one thing. Then sometimes, if you get distracted even, you get a lot of pain even, so you have to bring it down properly. So it's very risky to do just open your eyes, because you can't open your eyes even once you get into the first jhana onwards, your eyes locked, right? Then normally you have to put some efforts to come down. So if you, in between, if you open your eyes, it won't go away. Jhanas go away, not gone away, even though you open your eyes. So that's why you need some controlling to bring it down properly. If you bring it down properly, that's normal, right? So after the jhana, you will gain a lot of energy. Like if you stay for 30 minutes in the fourth jhana, you can work with full capacity for 4 hours, 3-4 hours. That means your intelligent, your brain capacity is working, very well. So it's gradually it will fading away. But what we do is, we use this technique, we use this developing concentrations to getting into the other skill, right? What we do is we just gain the jhana and stay there for some time and bring it down. Then we feel so energetic and your mind is so focused, laser focused. If you do anything within these 4 hours, it works very well. Even you can use these techniques for your learning, to do anything, right? It works very well. So the fourth jhana, there's an analogy explaining, similar to suppose there's a well with muddy water. When you see the bottom, you can't see it. But there's a moment where this muddy water settles and you can see the bottom. That stays similar to fourth jhana. You can very clearly see things, right? So that's the power of jhanas. So try it, then you can feel it, right? This is all about jhana. Okay, then let me explain about the next thing. This is very unique when it comes to Buddhist practice. Skills to see the truth of yourself. This is very important. This is known as vipassana in Buddhist terms. Some of you have heard about this term, vipassana. Vipassana. This is in Pali. This is very, very, Westerners, they might know this term. Vipassana means seeing the truth of yourself. Why we need to see the truth of yourself? That's very important. Otherwise, no point of doing this practice, right? So, why? Why we need to see the truth of yourself? Because to find the ultimate happiness. That's why we need to see the truth. What is ultimate happiness? So you might wonder about the happiness because we just use the term happiness for our day-to-day life. But if it is changing over time, we can't define those things as happiness, right? The happiness should not be changed over time if it is the happiness. So that's why I put ultimate happiness or true happiness. So if you can find this true happiness, that's the goal here. So right now you are not here. You are not aware of this ultimate happiness. So that's why, the ultimate happiness can be found within you, not in the outer world. So we are always finding happiness through the materialistic world. You can't find happiness there. The happiness can be only found within you. That's why we need to explore yourself, right? This is the main reason. So normally, this you should define your goal in your life. This should be your vision or goal. Because we sometimes work for some other's goal, some other's visions, but we haven't defined your own vision. So so if you can really defining the goal of your life, so this should be this ultimate happiness, right? So let me explain a little bit more about this. So if you are not here, then where you are? You are in here, unhappiness. I must say, of course. I'll explain why. You might, have some doubt on this thing. You are dissatisfied. Satisfied. Okay, I will explain why I, use this term. So if you look back to your life from your childhood, you are always structured in a way. You might, your parents might, put into a frame and, ask you to do it. First frame in your life should be education. So you are just putting so much, even right now, you're putting so much effort for the education, right? It's effort. But in a mundane life, you should have this to survive. But in a macro level, if you analyze education, you are working in that frame. So you are not putting any other, it's like a frog in the well thing, you are always in that frame. So later, sometimes you are defining another frame. It can be done by your parents or you are defining it. That is maybe finding a job. It's another frame, right? Maybe after some times you are defining a frame, finding a partner, right? Partner. Maybe sometimes, getting married, having children, all this stuff. Till your end, what you are doing is you are always putting some frames on top of that, and you are working on that thing, right? So that is you are in a frames. You are in a frames. Have you seen some dogs? The masters wearing some dog. You can't only see that way. You can't see other way. The same way you are like that. You are always jumping into another frame. You are just working. I'll explain a nice analogy. For example, let's say you are having a domestic parrot. You are petting. So you are feeding him. You are giving food, giving water, giving toys. Sometimes you might, chat with the parrot. So after 2 years later, even though you open the gate, the parrot won't leave the cage. Why? Parrot might think, so this should be the real world. But the real freedom of that parrot would be not in the cage, but in the outside. The same way, if you really want to find the true happiness, you have to break the frames. If you can see the world, if you can see yourself by breaking the frames, that's you can find the real happiness, right? So like, the professor explained, there's a nice picture like the with the horn, no? So it's the same, if you can, we always wear different sunglasses with different colors. If you can remove that thing only, you can really see the a true. So that's simply if you can understand, if you can analyze your life, it's a totally dissatisfactions. You are, if I put it into a different way, seeking the satisfaction within the frame is known as dissatisfaction. Seeking the satisfaction within the frame is known as dissatisfaction. You never reach that thing. So there's another analogy explained in theories. That is, suppose there's a deer, and he always chases water in the desert. But the real fact is there's no such water. It's an illusion. It's a mirage. But deer might not know the fact. What he does is he chases the water. Soon after he reaches here, he can see water somewhere here. That means deer always chasing, but he never reaches the water. The same way, what we do is, we are like deers. We are chasing desires, but at the end, we haven't reached anything. Right? The same analogy explaining, like, have you seen to move every time, the carrot is hanging in front of the horse to move forward, He can't reach the carrot, but still he's moving, thinking like, I can reach the thing. The same way, but we always jumping, chasing frames by frame, but you can't reach that thing. You might feel it's almost there, but you can't reach it. So that is known as dissatisfaction. You can't define the happiness within that thing. You are always putting so much effort, at the end you haven't reached anything, right? So what's the reason behind this dissatisfaction? The reason behind the dissatisfaction is unawareness. Unawareness. See, if because of the unawareness of the deer, he always chasing because of the unawareness. So unawareness leads to the dissatisfaction. Unawareness. Unawareness leads to dissatisfaction. Then the solution would be awareness. Awareness leads to the ultimate happiness. So awareness means awareness of yourself. If you can aware of yourself, you can see the ultimate happiness, right? If you are unaware of yourself, you are still struggling, you are still putting so much effort to your life. So my suggestion, my advice is to try to see yourself, right? So then you can break the frames and you can see something else, like not like in the parrot analogy, right? So this is the simplest way I can put about the Vipassana practice. Maybe I can explain how we can do this thing, how we can see the truth of yourself, right? So that's the next thing. So this should be your vision, and I'll define the mission here. So seeing the truth would be your mission, right? Vision should be finding the happiness, right? Mission should be seeing the truth. By seeing the truth, you can reach the happiness. Then how we can do this thing? How we can achieve this mission, right? So let me explain this thing. Okay, seeing the truth. Of yourself. Seeing the truth of yourself, bit challenging, right? It's a bit challenging because if I put a equation like in Buddhist practice explain, yourself equal to everything. Yourself equal to everything, because what you see is everything, I mean. What you hear is everything. What you taste, what you smell. So simply, all around you is, come under yourself. So you have to see the truth of everything, right? Not, when you say yourself, you have to complete this one. So, seeing the truth of yourself or seeing the truth of everything is challenging. So, because of that nature, in Buddhist practice, there's a gradual process introduced, a gradual process. Seeing the truth of yourself cannot be done from one theory or one practice, one meditation. It's a gradual process, a gradual skill. So in this gradual process, there are 67 steps you need to reach, you need to achieve, if you really want to see the truth of yourself. 100%. So I'm putting 100% because if you really know 99%, but still if you left 1%, you might chase that 1%, right? So you need to achieve this level, It should be a fully awareness. To reach this level, you need to, step up or climb up all these 67 steps. So these 67 steps are known as wisdoms. These are not knowledge, Knowledge, you know about how you define the knowledge. You hear something, you memorize, and you are retrieving in a way you can use it. That is known as knowledge. When you say wisdom, it's a bit deeper than knowledge. Wisdom means like realizing with a full of confidence. It won't change. If you have a wisdom, it won't change. It's very satisfying, I must say. So these all are 67 wisdoms. If you really want to see yourself, if you really want to see the truth of yourself, you need to reach all these 67 wisdoms. So that's a general saying, you can reach all 67 within 7 years. Within 7 years. But there's a condition, there are conditions. You need to have a master, and master has to teach you correctly, and the student has to commit it. Then it is possible within 7 years. Of course, you have to put some commitments to see the truth. It's not easy. Because what you see, what you hear is kind of a surface level understanding. But at the deeper level, in the back end, there are a lot of things happening. So if you really want to know all these things, we need to follow these steps, right? Maybe, since it's a gradual process, so you have to start from the first wisdom. First wisdom. So this should be like, if you're really interested to get into this stuff, you need to start from the first wisdom. If you're really interested, I can explain a little bit about wisdoms, right? Then you can understand how we can get into this, right? Do we have time?
We have about 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
15, yeah.
1-5.
Yeah, to finish the discussion of the first wisdom and then Q&A.
Okay, then I'll quickly explain about the first wisdom, right? Then maybe in the workshop, if you're really interested, you can join then, because I'm going to explain this one in a deeper level, right? So wisdoms, to reach the wisdoms, there's a timeline, let's say like, within 7 days to 9 days, you can reach this thing, right? So there are a few things you need to achieve here. You need to fulfill these things. One is you have to develop concentration, right? Within bracket up to 4th jhana, right? So this is possible, like, if you can practice 1 hour per day, if you can practice 1 hour per day for a month, it is possible. If you are in the retreat, within 7 days it is possible. It's very reachable, practical, right? So if you can have this thing, easily you can get into wisdoms, right? Even this journey is helpful for your day-to-day life. Second one, you need to know the theory. There are a few theories we need to learn, right? Theory, like, I'll explain what is in the theory a little bit. So in the theory, explain, like, so we are starting to explore the self, but at the end, you will realize there's no such self, right? So this is a bit weird, right? Initially, of course, you might feel there's a self, but at the end, you will realize there's no such self. How we can understand this thing? It's like, you will realize this work, like what we believe as self is a sequence of processes, right? So from the first wisdom, you will realize, you will understand this thing. So you might not believe, but that's the reality. Right now we are believing. It's like this, for example, let's say the autonomous car driving by itself, for example. There's an autonomous car driving itself. But after some time later, the car might think there should be a driver to drive itself. I get the point. There's a car autonomously driving, but after some time later, the car might think there should be a driver to car the drive. So right now you are like that. You are believing there should be a controller, there should be a self to see, to hear, to do all this stuff. But with these theories, with this wisdom, you realize, no, there's no such thing, but there's a process behind it. So it's that's why we need to learn this thing. So later you will, in the theories, you will understand this. You will understand some kind of a process behind the self, some kind of a process, right? So there are a few theories, we will learn that thing. The third one is, even though you learn the theory, it should be analyzed, self-analyzed. It should be analyzed with your experiences, because everyone do have their own way of own experiences. So these theories, there's a technique where we can apply to your each and every experience. Then you can really feel it, what is happening within you. Because, for example, let's say, even though you are so, educated, sometimes emotionally we are so weak. Emotionally we are so weak. But we don't know what's happening within us, right? When something happens to you. So all these things you can really understand what is happening, how emotional triggers, how desires are, how we crave these things, how we get anger, all this we can understand through this self-analysis, right? Because these things, we still, people are, searching how these emotions are triggered. So all this we can understand from this first wisdom. The fifth one is like, of course, understanding the teamwork. That means, so reaching a wisdom is a teamwork. It's not a one-way thing, because master, that means there are two ends here, the student and the master. So master also have to do 25%, right? So student has to do 75%. So it's a teamwork. So we need to understand each other. So you have to, if I am giving you some things, you have to give some feedback, right? In that way, it's a back and forth process. Reaching a wisdom with rare opportunity, so we need to do some kind of a, back and forth process. So we need to understand how this teamwork happening, all right? That can be done through the interaction. Through the interaction, you can understand it. The sixth one is, once you fulfilling above 5, there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There should be one more. That is pre-trained skills. This is also important because to do all this stuff, at least you need to have some sort of skills, like communication skill. Patience is very important because this wisdom cannot be reached overnight. You have to work. You have to put some commitment. Pre-trained skills means, of course, you all are having it, right? I just put it. So if you fulfilling all these 5, then you will get a special meditation technique. This is known as, I'll use terms because later you can, refer these things. This is known as Kammatthana. It's a special meditation technique. It's a tailor-made thing. You will get one by one. So if you can practice this technique, you can reach this wisdom. So wisdom means you will realize the true nature of yourself, but not 100%, but by at least 7%, 10%, because there are 67 wisdoms. You might be curious why there are 67. Let me explain that thing. Because, for example, let's say you are not aware of this object. So by looking at this object, you can't guess this. So you have to at least walk around and you have to, see this object in a different angles. Maybe you have to touch it, you have to feel it. So then only you can have an overall idea of this object. The same way, to see the truth of yourself, you need to see yourself with a different angles. So there are 67 angles. If you can really see you in these angles, you can really have a conclusion, real conclusion. That's why it's that's why it's 67. So by achieving the first wisdom, you will, for the first time, you will know something, truth, something true about yourself. So this is the roadmap to get into the first wisdom, right? Then if you really have this thing, you will so curious to know other stuff, right? So this is known as vipassana, seeing the truth of yourself. So I humbly suggest you to have this because you will really understand what is happening within you, right? So now, right now you are so blind. I must say, you're so blind, right? Just wake up. It's like there's an analogy, like you are in a dream. So when you are in a dream, you believe in the dream. You are crying, you are smiling, you are doing everything. But one day, if you wake up from the dream, then you will realize the truth. The same way, simply I say, okay, just wake up, right? Just wake up from the dream. Then you will realize something. So this is known as vipassana. So if you have some time, I can explain a little bit about the jhana.
So we have to end, and before we go to the apéro, as 7:15. So I think if you want, we can take 5, because not everyone will come to the workshop.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah.
I think probably a third or half of the audience will come.
Yeah.
If you want to spend 5 minutes explaining the theory of the first wisdom for those that are just curious but don't come to the workshop, we can take 5 minutes.
Is that the theory of the wisdoms or the jhana thing?
And you can take another 5 minutes to explain the jhana meditation.
Yeah.
So we have about 2 minutes to
Okay.
finish and start.
Because all our students, your first goal should be to gain the concentration, right? So you might not come to the workshop all. Maybe I will explain how to get into the first jhana, right? Because it's very important. You can really feel it, right? I'll take 5 minutes and just try to grab the technique. Okay. Maybe here. If you need, I can share this PDF later. Okay, I'll explain the Anapana meditation. This is very powerful, and I will only explain the first stage of this meditation. How to get into the first jhana. Then you will later you can go to other jhanas. So Anapana meditation, I'll explain through a phase, right? Okay. So what you have to do here, you have to sit. So it will take 30 minutes. for this meditation, 30 minutes, right? Maybe if you wish, I can share a recording, guided recording to have it, and you can practice with that thing. So here, you need to have a comfortable posture to sit 30 minutes. Then with closed eyes, it's good to start with the counting, 100 to 0, as a warm-up. Then you can go, jump into the Anapana meditation. Then what you have to do here is simple. Close your eyes and try to focus this area, edge of the nose and chin, this area. Try to focus here. Right. Then with closed eyes, then you will notice your natural breathing happening, like in the previous meditation. So it can be somewhere here in the stomach. It doesn't matter. Whenever you feel the breath, let's say the in-breath, just imagine, it's the imagination, just imagine the breath is, starting from here and all the way comes to the nose. The breath can be somewhere here in the stomach, but still, you can imagine it's come from here to here. Only focus should be somewhere here, right? Then if you feel the out-breath, just think it's come from here to here, here to here, here to here, right? It should be synchronized with the real breath, here to here, here to here. Got it? Then use some words to contemplate the breathing like this, like breath in, breath out. You have to use these words, like instead of counting, see, breath in, breath out. It's the mind thing, right? Don't verbally do it, like breath in, breath out. That way, continue for 10 minutes. Continue for 10 minutes in this way. Then after 10 minutes later, you will notice bit uncomfortable to do this one, because your breath getting shorter and shorter with the relaxation, breath naturally gets shorter. Then what we have to do here, try to reduce the length of the focus area, like here, upper lips and edge of the nose. Earlier you had to start from here, then reduce it to the upper lips. So it's short, then naturally you can feel the short breath, then you have to think, imagine it's come from here to here, from lips to nose, nose to lips, right? Then you will feel it, then try to contemplate within this range, and you can use some short word like in, out, in, out. Use some short word, otherwise you will get this discomfort. See, in, out, out. Then do it for another 10 minutes in this way, shorter breath. Then after 10 minutes later, you will notice something like this. This shorter breath getting so subtle and shallow, like this. It will get, you will see it's getting so shallow and subtle. And there's a moment you will notice this breath disappeared in a one point. You will notice breath, you will no longer feel the breath. You might feel you are entering into a kind of an empty space. You might feel you are entering into a kind of a blank state, kind of a vacuum. So some people do get scared and don't get scared because once you're not feeling the breath, you feel scared. And people are trying to take a deep breath and try to find the breath. Don't do it, then you will lose the concentration. So it doesn't mean that you are not breathing. The breathing happening, you are getting into a different state, which you haven't experienced it. That's why you feel scared, Then try to aware. So that's why I'm trying to make you aware. So when you are focusing here, it will get so shallow, subtle. Suddenly it will disappear. The breath will disappear. Then try to stay calm. And what you have to do here, you have to change your focus to this area. Maybe this area. Somewhere here. Lips, chin, and jaw all together. Try to focus. Try to change your focus to lips, chin, and jaw. Because from that onwards, you don't feel any breath. It's like empty. It's like, vacuum kind of a thing. Then you have to change your focus to lips, chin, and jaw. And what you have to do here, try to hold the focus on lips, chin, and jaw. Here. So try to focus here and stay here for 5 to 10 minutes. Then you have to do in this way for a few days, maybe 2-3 days. Then you will notice some kind of after a few minutes later, you will notice some kind of a weird sensation arising somewhere here. It's similar to tingling, it's similar to numbness or vibration. You will feel some kind of a weird tactile sensation arising somewhere here. It's a bit weird, but once you have this feeling, you can easily hold the focus here. You can easily hold, because nothing will distract you, only you can feel this one. Very heavily you can feel, intensively. Then try to hold this focus. Then try this way for a few days. Then after a few days later, you will notice the feeling of relaxation or feeling of calmness here. Once you have this relaxation, it's so pleasant. Then you want to stay more and more here. So till then, you have to put some effort, but after a few days later, you will notice you want to stay more and more. You want to stay longer there. That's the real relaxation. You can enjoy. You can really enjoy the jhana. This is known as first jhana. If you can really feel this thing, this is known as first jhana. Right? Then what you have to do here, you have to do one more thing here. Once you get into the jhana, you have to register the name of this jhana for 3 times. We call registering. Like this. This is first jhana. This is first jhana. This is first jhana. So why we are registering the name? Because later you don't need to spend this 20 minutes to get into the jhana. Once you really practice this jhana, quickly, instantly you can get into the jhana. Right? You don't need to spend this much, because as a beginner, you have to spend 20 minutes get into the first jhana. But later, instantly you can go. Even other jhanas, later you will notice, if you instantly you can go for 4th, 3rd, whatever jhana, you can stay whatever the time. Right? That's how we train. We can train it. We can really feel it. So this is the first jhana, and how to get out from the jhana, that's also very important. So you can enjoy the jhana, or else you can stay whatever the time, maybe 30 minutes. Of course, once you get into jhana, easily you can stay more than 30 minutes. It's very soothing, pleasant, it's like a different state. But you have to properly get down from the jhana. How you can get down from the jhana? You have to use this suggestion, we call suggestion. Suggestion. So you have to say like this: may this feeling should disappear. May this feeling should disappear. So you have to repeat 3 times, then only you can open your eyes slowly. Otherwise, once you are in the jhana, you can't open your eyes. It's locked. It's locked. You can't open. So through the suggestion, you can slowly open your eyes and you can get into the normal mood. So that's how you can get into the first jhana. So later I will share the recording. Since this is a bit longer, there are many steps. I will share the guidelines. So you can only just listen. Right? So try this in 30 minutes. If you can do it at least 1 session per day, you can have it within 1 week. One session per day. Right? It's very easy. 30 minutes. You can have it. Okay, this is about jhana.
So we are at 7. The apéro starts at 7:15.
Okay.
So we have 15 minutes for either Q&A and discussion. Depending on what you want, we can ask Kwanti to give us more meditation techniques. We can ask him to explain the first wisdom theory, because 50 of you, I think, come to the workshop. Not all of you, so about a third of you. But this floor is yours now, depending on what you find interesting. It's time for a Q&A, and then ask if you want any of these other things more. Just if you want to ask questions, wait till we pass the microphone to you, because there are some people online and recording.
Is
anyone have anything? Just pass it along.
Hi, hello. Yeah, thanks for the session. So I have two quick questions. First one is, you explained 8 levels of concentration,
Yes.
then levels of wisdom, and then we have.
A bit louder or not? Is the microphone? I mean, it might be working. It's just
I think you have to close. Yes.
Yeah, so you explained 8 levels of concentration, and then we saw the levels of wisdom, and we also have the eightfold path in Buddhism. So are these related?
Yeah.
That's like first question. And second question is, why are we specifically focusing on the 4th jhana? What are the other levels? What's
Yeah.
special about the 4th one?
Okay. First, let me explain about the 8 noble path. So that's under vipassana, not because vipassana is a different technique. Concentration is a different technique. We have to distinguish this one. Concentration is just a tool to enhance your focus. That's all, nothing else. But when it comes to vipassana, there are many principles, explained, right? So you're asking about 8 noble path, right? So of course, 8 noble path means these are kind of parameters how you get into the wisdom, right? So there are 8 paths, right? So right view, right concepts, right dhyara, right? So I'm not going to explain that thing. So these 8 noble path is helping to get into the wisdom. So this is kind of a methodology, I must say. So we need to have a framework to get into the wisdom. So 8 noble path gives you the framework to reach the wisdom. So that means there are 67 wisdoms. So we need to structure 8 noble paths 67 times to get into each wisdom. So that I will explain maybe when you are in the retreat. Otherwise, it will take time, right? 8 noble path. Simply, you can understand 8 noble path is a framework to design the wisdom, to get into the wisdom. That's how. And you asked about what are the other levels, right? So other levels are very deep levels where only yogis practicing this thing. As a Buddhist practitioner, we are not getting into the 5th, 6th, and 7th things. These are very deep, like normally to getting into the 8th jhana, like, some yogis spend their whole time, 15, 20 years of commitment, like, they have to put to get into 8th jhana. Because these are very deep level, like, for a lay person, for the mundane person to do your day-to-day life, 4th jhana is more than enough, right? More than enough. So these are very, very deep levels, right? So we are not practicing this thing we are not even practicing, right? 4th jhana, why specifically 4th jhana? Because it's very practical and very reachable. Because you have to put some commitment. If you can put it gradually in a routine way, within 1 month, you can witness it. Other stuff, of course, we have to commit a lot of time, a lot of years to get in there. That's why I'm not touching it. Right? Yes.
You mentioned 67 steps to get to the wisdom.
Yes.
Right? So you mentioned that these are 67 angles that we see ourselves.
Yes.
But where does this 67 come? Like, what are the differences between 67 angles? Why
Yeah.
not 65? Yeah, I want to know the origin of this
Yeah.
67.
Of course, it's a
Thanks.
good question. I'll explain. Of course, in Buddhist texts, there are 73 wisdoms, I must say. So that's how it explained, right? 73, if you really getting into this wisdom without a guideline, there are 73, right? So what we do is, we take the guideline from someone. We call, if you really get into these things from the self-research, you have to reach 67. Only we call, if someone is reaching seventh degree wisdom from their self-research, we call him as Buddha. Anybody can become a Buddha if you explore yourself without any guidelines, right? But right now we already have this hacking code, or we already have the guideline. What we do is we just use it, and we just getting into the thing. That's why it's explained as seventh degree. Right?
Thank you.
Right.
So thanks for the session. You touched upon emotion a couple of times.
Yes.
And I oftentimes struggle to distinguish between managing emotions and ignoring and not acknowledging that they're there.
Yes.
So I just wanted to know if you have any thoughts on that and how to distinguish between those.
Yeah,
in
I'll
these
explain
resources.
three steps. One is you said ignoring the emotions. Other is managing. Other is eliminating. Right? So there are three ways of handling emotions. Right? So ignoring, of course, I mean, you can ignore, but it comes again and again. Right? It's coming. So managing, of course, you can do through the concentration meditation. So little of counseling, you can ignore it. This one. Only little of counseling, little of, we can explain the nature of the emotions, they can ignore it. Right? So counseling helps you to ignore, but it's very little effect on the emotions. So concentration, of course, you can manage. Manage means like, when you do the concentration, you can enhance your stress level and at least you can manage it. But main focus here in Vipassana, if you can eliminate, once you eliminate, it won't happen again. That's the power of the Vipassana. Vipassana means if you really see the truth of yourself, how emotions are triggering, what's the root cause of these emotions, you can have an ability to eliminate, right? You can eliminate it. For example, let's say there's an analogy explaining, like, without wisdoms, you are like an infant. Because if you take an infant, we can make him cry instantly. We can make him smile instantly. Because he doesn't know about the real world, right? So we can, easily we can make him cry, make him smile. The same way, right now, you are like an infant, right? It's having, easily you can trigger, emotionally you can trigger. But if you really know the facts about yourself, no one can trigger you, no one, you will have a very solid, very clean, very solid mind. That's what we are trying to do this. If you can really see yourself, you can eliminate the emotions, not only manage, of course. Right?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for the talk. It's very interesting.
Thank you.
I wonder, you mentioned the theory of self and non-self.
Yes.
That's definitely a very interesting topic. I
Yes.
enjoy it very much. I wonder, you mentioned that there's a transition from self to non-self,
Yes.
which sounds to be similarly contradictory, and because how someone feels non-self. So what this feels like to if people already grasp the wisdom of non-self, and can you describe simply about this concept of non-self?
Okay, you are asking about if there's no self, how you can see the world, how you can interact.
Yes.
Okay, simply I'll explain this thing. So since this is based on School of Computer and Communications Sciences, so let me explain this through the AI models, right? For example, let's say that if you talk with ChatGPT, right? Easily you can, the feedbacks are coming. It's very, simply you can talk with the ChatGPT, right? So how it interact with you? It's like a real human, right? But there's no self there. There's no self, but still interacting. So that's the process behind the AI. Because of the process, it can interact, right? The same way, there's a way of interacting. That's what we need to understand, right? So right now, we are believing there should be a controller, there should be a self to interact. No, there's no such thing. That's right now you are believing. That's why we, through the wisdom, slowly we are trying to convince ourselves there's no such thing. It's just a process, right? So that's what we try to do, try to learn from these wisdoms. I got the point here.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah. Think about AI and how we interact, right? The same way we are interacting that way. It's very, of course, that's the simplest version I can explain.
One more follow-up.
Sorry?
One more follow-up question. If you think ChatGPT has no self,
Yes.
do you believe human has a self or no?
Sorry? I couldn't hear you.
If ChatGPT has no self, so imagine that understanding human, we often mention ourselves. Do you believe that we human have a self or not?
I think he's asking about is human have a self?
Do humans have a self, or are we just chatbots as well?
Kind of. I mean, right now, of course, you are believing the self, right? Right now you are believing self. But once you get enlightened, we call enlightenment. If you really get into all 67 steps, right? You really get into 67 steps, then it becomes a kind of AI. So right now you are not AI. Right now you are believing there should be a self, right? So it gives a lot of problems. Believing the self gives a lot of problems. That's why we are explaining. Believing self gives you a lot of emotion. Believing self gives a lot of hope. Believing self gives you a lot of never-ending search, right? You always seeking, because since you are here, so you want more, right? So right now you are believing the self. Because of that thing, you want to maintain the self. To maintain the self, you are always catching, or you are moving forward with something, right? That's what we need to clear out. I mean, these wisdoms help you to clear the things, right?
Okay, so yeah, let's get through one or two last questions. I think we can pass the microphone. Then we're out of time already, but we can take a couple of more.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I agree, we want always more, and that makes us unhappy. But isn't that the same here? You want more meditation, you want more calmness, you will become addicted.
Yeah.
So aren't you not creating just another attachment?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll explain. See, like, you might think of reaching the happiness. Crave to the wisdoms. You might think it has unhappiness. But you can understand here, like, reaching wisdoms not create unhappiness. Reaching wisdoms at the end gives you an end result. That is, you are understanding there's no self. Then nothing to be happy or nothing to be unhappy, because once you realize there's no self, that's the end of the realization, right? So it's not a craving, or it's not a unsatisfied thing. Understanding the self gives you an end result, gives you end result we call, right? At that moment, of course, you will realize, of course, nothing to seek anything, right? That's how I can explain that.
Okay, thank you.
There's one more question. We can take the last one. If there's barely one, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm lucky on one. Many thanks for the very interesting talk. I just have a very small question. So if we concentrate and we get to jhana, and then we have this very intense state of concentration and of focus, and also I believe energy, would you say that we need more energy to fill that? So either in terms of food or in terms of sleep, like does it take energy, or does it just funnel and concentrate it, but otherwise you would have exactly the same level of energy?
So getting into the deep concentration helps you to relax your body. It won't consume a lot of energies. It will reduce, right? That's what we also try to figure it out from the EEGs by scanning the EEG, like how brain works. Some like it won't create energies, because if your body is getting so relaxed, if the body is getting more relaxed states, then only the energies we need to function the body. If this body function is getting less functions through the concentration, it won't have any. You don't need to put effort even, because even from that's why the first jhana we define as a relaxation. You will really feel the relaxation. Then from the second jhana you will have it more, right? So of course you won't. Even we can witness when we are meditating, even in the monastery, even the first day they are taking a lot of food, but when they practicing, they are reducing their the food. That means the calorie they need is getting reduced. We observe that thing. That means I think it reduces the energy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so Valentina will be at the apero, so if anyone you want to have like a one-on-one discussion, ask more questions. I hope, is there any burning question that you want to ask here? Okay, so it would be great. I think there's a burning one.
So thanks for the talk. I'm wondering if you think you have achieved the ultimate happiness, and I'm wondering what it feels like. And besides the meditation techniques that brings you there, is there any other experience in your life that triggers this epiphany of ultimate happiness?
Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to expose my understanding, because being a monk, we are having some rules kind of a thing. So we are not supposed to expose our realization. Unfortunately, I can't explain that thing. Yeah.
So here's, I will end with one question myself, because I feel like I heard it multiple times and I heard it too. So Bhante, if you can, the mysterious no-self feeling that is hard, of course, for us to understand because we are committed to that.
Yes.
We have the workshop next week, so people might be wondering if they want to go there or not. So is this actually a good feeling, or is it bad? Does it feel good?
Yes, of course. That's what we don't understand. People wrongly, thinking understanding non-self gives you kind of a negative thing. No, right now, it's very positive, of course, I must say. It's very positive, and you can interact more, interact better when you have understanding all this stuff. Otherwise, you are, right now, if you really think, you are struggling, actually. We can't feel it, but right now we are struggling. But when you really realize that there's no self, then you can live a better life. You can really, that's the real happiness. That's why it's called it happiness. If it is not happy, then no point of, realizing this thing. If there's no happiness, right?
So you recommend it?
That's the point. So right now, from your perspective, you can't see it because right now we are in a different dimension. So it's very hard to explain. But of course, it's very positive, very positive.